Imagine walking into a mysterious tent where human curiosity blends with awe and judgment, where people with unusual physical conditions became living legends between applause and stigma. You're about to dive into a curious and often dark chapter of entertainment history, the famous freak shows. If you're new here, welcome to the True Dark channel. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any intriguing stories like this one. Asterisk freak shows began in 16th century England, when people with rare physical conditions started being displayed as curious attractions. At a time when medicine was limited and the supernatural explained the unknown, deformities were seen as omens or curses. This created fertile ground for myths, fears, and profit. Entrepreneurs like P.T. Barnum knew how to exploit this curiosity, turning difference into spectacle. With savvy marketing, they presented these people as wonders of nature, drawing large crowds. Yet, while feeding sensationalism, freak shows also gave voice, visibility, and sometimes fortune to those who were once hidden from society. In this video, you'll meet iconic figures like the Bearded Lady, the Siamese Twins, the Elephant Man, and many others. Stories of struggle, survival, and also success. We'll also reflect on how these shows helped shape modern conversations about inclusion and diversity. Prince Randian, the Snake Man, born in 1871 in British Guiana. Prince Randian came into the world with one of the rarest congenital conditions, known as tetramegaly, meaning he had no arms or legs. At first glance, many might have assumed a life of complete dependency awaited him. But Randian defied every expectation. Nicknamed the Human Torso and the Snake Man, he astonished audiences with his remarkable independence and ingenuity. He taught himself to write, paint, and even shave using only his lips and teeth. Perhaps most famously, he could roll and light a cigarette unaided, an act that became one of his signature performances. With a charisma that commanded attention and a calm, confident demeanor, Randian turned his condition into an asset, captivating thousands across the United States. He became a regular and celebrated performer with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circuses, where his self-sufficiency and showmanship challenged public assumptions about disability. In 1932, his fame reached new heights when he appeared in the cult classic film Freaks by Todd Browning. Though his screen time was brief, it was unforgettable. His appearance in the film served as a stark yet dignified portrayal of human complexity, resilience, and strength. Randian's legacy goes beyond the sideshow stage. He represents an era in which those labeled as different seized their space in the world, not just as spectacles, but as individuals who demanded to be seen, respected, and remembered. Kurt Earls and the Power of Family. Kurt Earls' journey to circus fame began with hardship, but flourished through unity and resilience. Born in Germany, he immigrated to the United States in 1915 alongside his sister Grace, seeking a new life in a country brimming with opportunity, but not always welcoming to those who stood out. Early on, Kurt crossed paths with a man named Earls, a pivotal mentor who would forever influence his path. In a gesture of deep respect and gratitude, Kurt adopted his surname, symbolizing a rebirth and a new identity. Soon, his other siblings Daisy and Tiny joined them in America, and together, they would become one of the most beloved performing families in circus history. The Earls siblings were all of short stature, and rather than hide from public scrutiny, they embraced the spotlight. What set them apart wasn't merely their appearance, but their astonishing talent and boundless creativity. Their performances were a blend of physical comedy, theatrical flair, and tight-knit chemistry that could only come from family. Audiences were charmed not just by their novelty, but by their professionalism, precision, and charisma. Kurt, with his natural leadership, helped direct their collective image into something empowering. Under the big top, they weren't just curiosities, they were headliners. Their acts challenged stereotypes and showed the world that difference could be a source of strength. Over time, the name Earls became synonymous with quality and innovation in the circus world. Their legacy stands as a testament to the strength found in familial bonds, the ability to redefine one's identity, and the courage to transform adversity into art. Maurice Tillet, the real Shrek, Maurice Tillet was born in 1903 in Russia to French parents and led a life shaped by dramatic transformation. As a child, he was nicknamed the Angel because of his innocent features and gentle demeanor. But at the age of 17, Tillet began to experience swelling in his hands, feet, and head symptoms that would soon be diagnosed as acromegaly, a rare disorder caused by excess growth hormone. Over time, his appearance changed drastically. His once delicate face became broad and rugged, his bones thickened, and his voice deepened. Faced with a society that judged heavily by appearance, Tillet was forced to reevaluate his path. Despite being a gifted writer and fluent in over 10 languages, he realized that traditional professional roles were unlikely. Instead, he turned to the stage first in theater, and then in professional wrestling, where his unique physique became an asset rather than a barrier. In the ring, Tillet became a sensation. Known as the French Angel, he captivated audiences, not only with his strength and agility, but also with the mystery surrounding his look. Fans speculated wildly about his origins and abilities, and his fame grew rapidly across Europe and the United States. At the peak of his career, he held the World Heavyweight Champion title in the American Wrestling Association. Interestingly, decades after his death, many began to speculate that Tillet's distinctive features served as visual inspiration for the animated character Shrek. While this connection was never officially confirmed by DreamWorks, the resemblance and timing sparked a cultural myth that persists today. Tillet's face was immortalized through life casts, 2 of which are displayed in American museums. They serve as lasting reminders of a man who refused to be defined or limited by his condition. His story remains a powerful example of how perceived limitations can be transformed into sources of identity, strength, and pride. Johnny Eck, the man without a body. Johnny Eck was born in 1911 in Baltimore, Maryland, with sacroiligenesis, a rare condition that resulted in the absence of the lower half of his body. But what he lacked in stature, he more than made up for in talent, charisma, and unshakable spirit. From a young age, Eck refused to let his condition define his capabilities. He quickly developed extraordinary upper body strength and learned to move with agility on his hands, performing feats that astonished audiences. He was a natural entertainer, known for walking on his hands with grace, executing acrobatic tricks, and even playing basketball. His performances exuded both charm and defiance, challenging societal perceptions of what it meant to be disabled. Johnny's talents extended far beyond the circus ring. He was an accomplished artist, skilled in painting, sculpture, and woodworking. He also dabbled in illusionism, collaborating with magicians to create mesmerizing stage acts. In 1932, like several of his peers, Eck was cast in Todd Browning's groundbreaking film Freaks, where his role further cemented his place in pop culture history. Despite working in an industry that often exploited physical differences, Eck maintained control over his image and career. He didn't see himself as a victim, but as a performer with a message. Limitations are often an illusion. Throughout his life, he advocated for dignity and inclusion, inspiring others with his boldness and resilience. Johnny Eck's legacy is not just one of survival, but of flourishing against the odds. He showed the world that true talent knows no boundaries, and that the human spirit, when determined, can achieve what once seemed impossible. Miran Dejo, the impossible man. Miran Dejo, born Arnold Gerrit Henskes in 1912 in the Netherlands, emerged as one of the most mystifying figures in the world of extreme performance art. Unlike many sideshow performers known for congenital conditions, Dejo crafted a persona centered around the limits of endurance, pain, and the unexplained. Dejo stunned audiences by piercing his body with swords, needles, and skewers, driving them through his abdomen, arms, and chest without bleeding, flinching, or suffering apparent harm. Spectators were often convinced they were witnessing illusions, yet medical professionals who examined him were left bewildered. He claimed to possess a heightened mental and physical control over his body, suggesting his feats were less about trickery and more about mastery of mind over matter. In addition to his physical demonstrations, Dejo espoused spiritual philosophies. He believed his abilities stemmed from intense concentration, a disciplined mind, and a deeper understanding of human potential. To some, he was a miracle man. To others, a medical enigma. Regardless, he became a fixture in European sideshows and drew considerable attention from scientists and mystics alike. Tragically, his remarkable career was cut short in 1948 when he accidentally swallowed a needle during one of his performances. The object caused internal damage that led to his untimely death. Even in his final act, Dejo embodied both the wonder and the danger that defined his life for today. Maurice Dejo is remembered not just for his pain-defying performances, but for challenging the boundaries of belief. He remains a symbol of the strange intersection between the physical and the metaphysical, a man whose body became a stage for questions science still struggles to answer. Joe Martin Lurrell, the Owl Man. Joe Martin Lurrell, often referred to as the Owl Man, was one of the most bizarre and enigmatic performers to grace the stage of the Barnum and Bailey Circus. His claim to fame was an incredible and unsettling physical feat. He could rotate his head a full 180 degrees, mimicking the swivel of an owl with uncanny accuracy. This unique ability defied explanation at the time and made him an instant sensation. Wherever he performed, Lurrell's performances weren't limited to a single trick. He built an entire stage persona around his avian traits, combining his head-spinning act with calculated movements, a stiff-necked gaze, and a haunting presence that both fascinated and unnerved audiences. His control over his body and facial expression gave him an almost otherworldly appearance, blurring the line between human and creature. In 1940, his fame reached new heights when he was featured in Life magazine, solidifying his place in popular culture. The photograph of him mid-performance with his head turned to an impossible angle captivated readers and turned him into a nationwide curiosity. Little is known about Lurrell's personal life, and that mystery only added to his mythos. Some believed his act was an illusion, while others were convinced he had a rare medical condition that allowed him such extreme flexibility. What is certain is that Joe Martin Lurrell captivated the imaginations of thousands and left a lasting impression in the world of sideshow history. To this day, the Owl Man is remembered as a performer who took one astonishing talent and turned it into legend, proving that in the realm of the unusual, the line between fear and fascination is razor thin. Koo-Koo, the bird girl. Koo-Koo, famously known as the Bird Girl, was born in Georgia in 1880 with a rare condition known as Verhoef syndrome, sometimes referred to as bird-headed dwarfism. This disorder resulted in distinct physical characteristics: a small, narrow face, a beak-like nose, and a recessed chin, which gave her a striking avian appearance. But rather than hiding her difference, Koo-Koo transformed it into a powerful artistic identity, drawing inspiration from her own features. Koo-Koo embraced the persona of a bird through theatrical costuming and performance. She adorned herself in elaborate feathered outfits and wore a tiara designed like a crest, further accentuating her bird-like allure. Her shows were a mix of interpretive dance and mimicry, where she flapped her arms like wings, hopped lightly across the stage, and chirped rhythmically to entertain the crowds. Her movements weren't random, each gesture was precise, almost ritualistic, as if embodying the spirit of a creature she had become. Audiences were mesmerized by the combination of her natural appearance and her ability to exaggerate it through expressive performance. What might have been a source of ridicule became a unique and graceful art form. Koo-Koo's legacy is one of transformation. She turned what society might have deemed a limitation into a tool of expression and identity. In an era when physical difference often meant isolation, Koo-Koo took the stage with pride and captivated thousands, not just by how she looked, but by the way she made her presence a performance. Her story reminds us that the power to redefine oneself lies not in appearance, but in the courage to embrace it. Pip and Flip, the Yucatan twins Pip and Flip, born Elvira and Jenny Snow, were twin sisters hailing from the Yucatan Peninsula and born with microcephaly, a condition characterized by a smaller than normal head and cognitive impairments. In an era when individuals with such differences were often hidden away or institutionalized, Pip and Flip instead found fame under the circus spotlight. Celebrated for their joyful spirits and whimsical charm, the twins were known for their playful personalities, and matching appearances, which audiences found both endearing and intriguing. Dressed in identical costumes and often speaking in unison or mimicking each other's gestures, they created a dynamic stage presence that captivated crowds. Their performances were not based on complex skills or feats, but rather on a natural charisma that evoked both curiosity and affection. In 1932, Pip and Flip were cast in the controversial yet groundbreaking film Freaks by Todd Browning. Their appearance in the movie, though brief, contributed to a larger cultural conversation about how society treats those who are physically and cognitively different. Decades later, their story inspired the character Pepper in the acclaimed television series American Horror Story, Freak Show, a testament to their lasting influence on popular culture. Despite the limitations placed on them by their condition and the prejudices of the time, Pip and Flip managed to turn their uniqueness into a livelihood and a form of expression. They were embraced not just as performers, but as symbols of innocence, resilience, and the desire for belonging. Their legacy challenges us to look beyond appearances and to value every individual's right to be seen, heard, and celebrated. In a world that often marginalizes difference, Pip and Flip remind us that joy, connection, and dignity are universal human traits. Freak shows mirrored their times, fascinated by difference, but steeped in prejudice. Today, we can see these performers not as attractions, but as pioneers in the fight for visibility, respect, and representation. They entertained, but also sparked deeper conversations on humanity. If you enjoyed this journey into history, hit the like button, subscribe to the True Dark channel, and check out our next video on the most enigmatic figures of the Middle Ages. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next adventure through the extraordinary.